Hi, I'm Chuck, KK6USY. Welcome to Ham Radio Adventures. I want to start off today's video. I know you guys are waiting for all this information, but I want to start off thanking Josh from HRCC and his wife Leah for putting on a really great campground. I got this t-shirt there. I didn't even realize I got the t-shirt until I got home. And this is the day after I got home. A lot of news out. Let me tell you how this went. It's a 7-hour drive for me to go to this camp out. So I had a lot of time on my hands, right? And I-5 is pretty straight, pretty easy drive. I am able to take a phone call, talk on the phone, drive, and listen to my navigation at the same time. Not all hams can do that. We know of one, right? All right, sorry, Jim. So this is how it started. I'm on my way down there, and I just had thought about the new radios coming out from Yaesu, and that's the ft857D. And surprise, surprise, they have another radio, which we'll talk about next. All right, I got a few notes here. Just get them over here where I can see it. I'm gonna try and keep on track here. So I'm going down. I get a phone call from HRO. They want me to. I was number 9 on the list. They want me to buy the radio, and I said, well, I'm on a 7-hour trip right now. I'm driving on the freeway. I have to get back to you. So I get off the phone. I talked to my buddy Jim there. Jim is the second guy in charge at HRO Sacramento. Great guy. If you ever need anything, go make sure you go talk to that guy. He's very knowledgeable about all their products. So I get off the phone and I'm like, man, I haven't talked to John Kruk in a while. So I have my phone call John Kruk. He answers the phone. He thinks it's my wife. It says, all right, because it comes up with her name, and he goes, who is this? And I'm like, it's Chuck. He goes, oh. So I hadn't talked to John in quite a while. So I start picking his brain about the new radio since I got the phone call. And we went on, and I kept asking questions. If you watch his stream, I didn't know he was doing a stream. I think our conversation was preparation for his stream because I was asking all the questions that he answered on there. And I'm not saying that they're, I'm saying right now that Yaesu and John are not telling you everything, at least in my opinion. They do, but they don't. Now, during our discussion, I was asking him about the power ratings on 2-meter. Well, first of all, let's just talk about the FTX1. The FTX1 is basically in competition with the IC705. Almost the same size, width and height. It's narrow. It's not as deep as the, even with the battery on it, it's not as deep as the 705, which makes it just a hair smaller. I don't know about weights or any of that stuff. I'm not getting into the major specs. They both do 160 through 6, 2 meters and 70 centimeters. They both do about 5 watts with the onboard battery and 10 watts with the external battery. Yaesu claims 6 watts, but 6.5, who cares? My 705 does about 4.5. Well, in some bands. While I'm talking to the guy at HRO, he's telling me about they have 2 models for sale. Well, the second one is the FTX-1 Optima. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So in my discussion with John, he tells me, I asked him the specs. I go, what is the output with the amp on 2 meters and 70 centimeters? And basically we get around to, it's 50 and 50. And I go, oh, kind of like a mini Yaesu 991A. Well, guess what he puts in his thing? He goes, think of a mini or something like that, 991A. That's where he misdirected you guys, because my feelings are they're going to display this at Dayton, Xenia, Dayton, okay? Big announcement. Now, that radio is really cool because it has a bunch of, the 705 came out and they added stuff later. What Yaesu has done is they've already added all this stuff. And it may come out later, but it's all out there. There's an extra fan. You guys that complain about, oh, wow, it has to have a fan, blah, blah, blah. I like my finals. How about you? I want my stuff to last. And they do, I guess they give a 3-year warranty to the original owner. So it does all those things. It has the fan, it has the tuner, all kinds. They have a face guard that goes over the front of it, which is kind of cool. Like my KX2 has something like that also, but I had to buy that extra. Well, you have to buy it extra, but it wasn't from Elecraft, it was from a second party. So then On the way home, now I spent 3 days down there, had a great time. We did a couple sodas on motorcycles, all kinds of stuff. I'll probably have those videos out later. I wanted to get this one out because I want Yaesu and John and those guys to have like shoot. I had stuff on it, sorry. I want to give them a little chance because if I guess this right, they may want to change, okay? Okay, I'm just kind of joking there. So I start looking, on the way home, I key up his I listen to their broadcast or podcast or whatever it is, and I'm listening to all the information. And on the way down, I'm envisioning he's telling me it's 50 and 50, which kind of leads me right to the 991A because that's what that is on 2 meters and 70 centimeters. On the way back, I'm listening to everything, and he's talking about clicking the head unit onto the actual amp. And if you guys listen real closely, in that part, he says it's about the same size as an 891, an ft891. Well, guess what? An ft891 and an ft857 are almost identical in size. Because I had both side by side at my house for quite a while. A buddy had lent me his to review it. I didn't ever actually review it. I was kind of before I started reviewing anything. They're almost exactly the same size. Now, Yaesu gives a picture, and I'll throw a picture up here, of the head unit on the thing, and guess what it looks like? It looks like a 891 with a big head. And that's what John says. If you look at the FTM 500, the head is bigger than the body. And that's what this radio is like. It looks a lot like it. And he says add 2 inches to that and you pretty much have, and a little narrower. It's not as deep as the FTM 500. He says that's pretty much, he pretty much says it's the same, about the same size. That's their hint. So they're not being dishonest, but they didn't tell you everything. I think at Dayton. Well, let me show you. I've got an early production, well, pre-production, I should say, model of this radio in the 100-watt version. I'm not going to say how I got it. Let me take a shot of it and I'll show it to you. And this, like I said, this is pre-production. It's not something that's ever going to make it to the market. All right, so here it is. I can't tell you how I got this thing. A friend of mine was in Japan. He was dumpster diving. That's all I'm going to say about it. But as you can see, it has the big screen now. The production, this is a non-production model. This is pre-stuff. Nothing's mocked. It's just mocking it up, basically. They actually improved the front with a little bigger screen. I think it's pretty much the 710 screen. It looks about the same. Same thing that ICOM did with the 705. They did the same thing as the 7300. But as you can see, this thing is pretty cool, you know. And it does look basically like an 857, doesn't it? Yeah? What do you guys think? You know? Pretty cool. So the production model will be a little bigger and I think it's going to be a little shorter. I think they actually shrunk this amp part down. All right, let's get back to the video. Okay, so all joking aside, that was my FT857 with my FTM 500 head attached to the front. If some of you sharp guys probably saw the tape. But that's basically what it's going to be. What I did notice in the picture after I looked at what I mocked up and looked at the picture, it's going to be wider than the 857 was, I believe, because he says it's about 2 inches wider than the FTM 500. But they also shrunk it front to back. So it's going to be really, really close to that. Like he said, the FT891 size or FT857 size. So, you know, down in the comments, guys, hey, tell me what you think, because I think I'm pretty right. I think they're going to announce it. So what I'm thinking is they may actually call this thing a FT858 Field. They like the Field thing now, a 710. They're calling the FTX1 the Field model, but I think this is going to be the replacement. Now, I've been bugging John Kruk for a long time. He and I are pretty good friends. I have to tell, if Yaesu Japan is watching, the guy will not tell anything. What he has told me in the past, he knows I love the A57. He knows I love my 991A. I go, when are we getting replacements for? He goes, I can tell you this. There's things are coming. He goes, and you're going to be impressed. So now here's another thing. Now we're talking about I've seen some stuff, talk about. I haven't seen much because I was kind of off the grid, but I've heard comments like, "Wow, it's really expensive. It's it was 200. It's a little bit more than a 705 in the small model. It's what, $17.99 or $18.99 in the model of with the amp." Now, the closest thing size wise and portability wise that has besides the 705, I'm talking from a manufacturer. Elecraft makes the KX3. I think it's a little bit smaller still. Puts out 20 watts, but we're not talking about the base model. Elecraft sells that for quite a bit, and I think the price of that radio is close to the 100 watt version of the Yaesu. I had prices. I'll throw the prices up here for everything, and believe me, I love my KX2. I'm not complaining about anything about Elecraft. They make wonderful equipment. But when you start talking about prices, now you add their 100 watt amp, and that's almost the price basically of this whole system for 100 watts. Now, their 100 watt amp you can actually get that with a tuner also. And I can't quite, Elecraft's, they've improved their website over the years, but I still am a little confused about if you're buying a base model or you're buying it upgraded. Sometimes it's a model that you have to build yourself partly, and some of them are assembled. You might as well just buy it assembled unless you really like messing with stuff, because it's not that much more. Nothing against the Elecraft, makes great products. And I was on a site the other day looking up something on my KX2, and there were some mention that Wayne mentioned they're asking about new radios, and he mentioned something about a KX4. Think about it. They've already have a K4. It's already got the screen. All they have to do is shrink it down to the size of the radio, and they've got it. The radio's already great. The KX2 is where I would like to see it. But anyhow, give me your thoughts down in the comments. Be nice, We're all civilized here, and just let me know what you think. You think I'm right? I'm wrong? I think I'm right. And I'm really not a fanboy. Okay, yes, I am a fanboy. I love my Icoms also. I love my Kenwoods that I've had in the past. I don't have any currently, but I am a Yaesu person. Yaesus, because I've had more Yaesus than anything else, they make the most sense to me. I know a lot of people think that the menu systems, it's so you know what? I set my audio in the menu, and that's pretty much all I do. I bring up the fast menus just like the 705 has, or the 7300, the 981A, my 710. They all have the same little fast menu. That's the menu I use. So they're kind of the same. They do things differently, and Yaesu makes sense to me because that's what I'm used to. Hey, like I said, if you have any comments on this, comment down in the comment section and we'll talk about it. I'm Chuck, KK6USY, for Ham Radio Ventures. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I think this is pretty cool. And I will say that I think it's double the price of my ft857. 73 all. Hope to get you guys on the airways.